Most students think the reason they are broke is simple. They do not have enough money coming in. So they tell themselves, once I get a job, once I finish university, once life gets easier, then I will start saving. Then I will start building wealth. But here is the uncomfortable truth. Most of those students graduate, get that job, start earning real money, and they are still broke. Just broke at a higher level, so the problem was never the money. It was something else entirely. In this video, I am going to show you the real reason poor students stay poor, and it has nothing to do with how much money they make. By the end of this video, you will understand why two people can earn the exact same salary and end up in completely different financial situations 10 years later. You will understand a concept that most schools never teach, most parents never explain, and most people only discover after making very expensive mistakes. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Let us get into it. Chapter 1. The invisible wall nobody talks about here is a question. Why does a student who gets a part-time job often end up spending everything they earn within 2 weeks, and yet somehow have nothing to show for it? It is not laziness. It is not stupidity. It is something called a financial thermostat. Think about the thermostat in a room. You set it to 22 degrees. If the room gets too cold, the heater turns on. If it gets too hot, it cools down. The room always returns to 22 degrees. It is automatic, it is invisible, and it is relentless. Your mind works exactly the same way with money. Every single person has an internal setting, a number that feels normal to them. A comfort zone for how much money they have, spend, and keep. And no matter what happens on the outside, your brain will always pull you back to that number. Warren Buffett once said that the most important investment you can make is in yourself, specifically in how you think. Not just skills, how you think. Because your thinking creates your financial thermostat. Here is how you can see this in real life. Studies show that lottery winners, people who suddenly receive hundreds of thousands of dollars, return to roughly the same financial position they were in before the win within 3 to 5 years. They did not lack money. They had more money than most people will ever see. But their internal thermostat was still set to broke. So what sets your thermostat? That is where it gets interesting. Chapter 2, Meet Alex. Alex is 21 years old. He is a second-year university student. He studies hard, he is responsible, and he has a part-time job at a coffee shop that pays him every 2 weeks. The moment Alex gets paid, something happens. It is not that he goes out and wastes money recklessly. He just spends. A little here, a little there. A new pair of shoes because the old ones were getting old. A dinner out because he had a hard week and deserved it. A streaming subscription he forgot to cancel. By week 2, Alex is counting days until the next paycheck. Alex is not bad with money. Alex just has a poor financial identity. And this is the thing most people never realize. You do not just spend money based on what you earn. You spend money based on who you believe you are. Pause for a second and think about this. If deep down you believe you are someone who is always short on money, your brain will find a way to confirm that belief. Every single time. This is called identity-based behavior. The psychologist James Clear wrote about this in his book Atomic Habits. He explains that the most powerful way to change any behavior is not to change what you do, it is to change what you believe about yourself. Because behavior always follows identity. Alex does not think of himself as someone who saves money. Saving feels unnatural to him. It feels like restriction. So his brain treats extra money as a problem to be spent, not an opportunity to be kept. But here is what most people never realize. This is not a character flaw. This is a learned pattern. Alex learned it by watching how money was handled around him growing up. He absorbed it without knowing, and now it runs automatically like a program in the background of his life. The good news, learned patterns can be unlearned. Chapter 3. Rewriting the program. So how do you actually change your financial thermostat? How do you rewrite the program? Here is a practical way to think about it. Imagine you are studying for a very difficult exam. You do not become good at the subject by reading the textbook once and hoping for the best. You practice, you repeat, you test yourself. You get it wrong and you try again. Over time, your brain builds new pathways and the subject starts to feel natural. Building a new financial identity works exactly the same way. And there is one habit that works better than almost anything else, and it costs nothing to start. It is called paying yourself first. Here is how it works. The moment any money comes in from your part-time job, from your allowance, from a gift, before you pay for anything else, you move a small percentage into a separate account that you do not touch. Even if it is just 2%, even if it is 500 rupees or $5 or 50 pounds. The amount is not the point. The habit is the point. Why? Because every time you do this, you are sending a message to your subconscious mind. You are telling it, I am someone who keeps money. I am someone who values what I earn. I am someone who plans ahead. This is not budgeting in the traditional boring sense. This is identity construction. You are quite literally building a new version of yourself, transaction by transaction. Naval Ravikant, an entrepreneur and philosopher who is widely respected for his thinking on wealth, once said, "Wealth is created by saving the difference between your ego and your income." In other words, the less you spend to prove yourself to others, the more you keep. And the more you keep, the more power you have over your own future. But think about it. Why do we never teach this in school? Why does a student spend 12 or more years learning algebra, history, and chemistry, but never once learns how to build a relationship with money? This is not an accident, but that is a conversation for another day. Chapter 4, the mistake that keeps students stuck here is the final piece, and this one is important. Most students, when they decide they want to change their finances, immediately start looking for ways to earn more shifts, a side hustle, a new income stream. And while earning more is not a bad goal, it is the wrong starting point. Because if your thermostat is still set low, more money just means more spending. It is like trying to fill a bucket with a hole at the bottom. You keep pouring water in, but the level never rises. Most students do this. But the smart ones do something different first. They fix the hole before they try to fill the bucket. Fixing the hole means three things. First, becoming aware of your financial thermostat and the internal beliefs driving your spending. Second, starting the habit of paying yourself first, even in tiny amounts, to begin building a new identity. Third, spending time learning about money, books, videos, conversations with people who think clearly about finance. Not because knowledge alone changes everything, but because understanding creates confidence, and confidence changes behavior. A research study from the National Endowment for Financial Education found that people who receive even basic financial education are significantly more likely to save consistently, invest early, and avoid debt. Not because they suddenly earn more, because they think differently. So here is the truth, said simply. Poor students do not stay poor because they lack money. They stay poor because they have a low financial thermostat, an internal setting that was built by their environment, reinforced by their habits, and never consciously questioned. Changing your financial life does not start with a better job or a lucky break. It starts with a quiet decision to see yourself differently, to become someone who keeps money, someone who thinks before spending, someone who invests in their own growth, even when nobody around them is doing it. You do not have to be rich to start thinking like someone who will be. So tell me, which of these ideas landed hardest for you? Are you going to start paying yourself first this week? Or maybe you realize something about your own financial thermostat that you had never noticed before. Write it in the comments. I read every single one. And if this video gave you a new way of thinking about money, subscribe. I make videos exactly like this every week, calm, clear, and built for people who actually want to understand how money and mindset work together. See you in the next one.